Hey, I'm Marina.
And I'm Emily.
And I've seen everything in the Sex and the City empire 10,000 times.
And I'm starting fresh.
So I'll be woman-splaining the show.
And I'm along for the ride.
But there's a twist. We are starting with And Just Like That and working our way back to the beginning.
So in other words, we're watching it backwards and in high heels.
This is City and the Sex. Hey there! Welcome back. We are watching And Just Like That, Season 3, Episode 8. We are almost at the finish line. I can maybe sort of see it. I mean, I don't know where we're going for sure, but I can at least see we're close to the end. We're closing in on the summer. Emily, what was your one word for this episode?
Oh, goodness gracious. I think it just has to be I had a funny phrase and I've forgotten it, so I'm just going to make it art, because the gallery art scene really stuck with me. It's horrifying. But it was also like, we'll talk about it. I don't want to talk about it too much, but I was like, basically this was a piece that reminded me of, you know, they've been down this road before in season 6 with making fun of art. We have another situation where we're making fun of art. And then this is also a piece of art that even a clueless goblin like me was like, this looks familiar. And then went down a Wikipedia rabbit hole about this art exhibit that they're making fun of. So we'll talk about it then. But I was like, that was where I spent most of my time. And then I finished the Wikipedia article and I looked up and the episode was done. So that was my experience with how fast this went.
I'll be fascinated to hear your thoughts, because I did manage somehow to get through the writers podcast this week, and they did talk about how they like made this art gallery out of nowhere and like blah blah blah, and like how much fun they had making this art gallery. And I was like, oh, okay. So I'll be curious to hear your thoughts.
Interesting.
Yeah, I did think this episode was like kind of felt short. Felt a little like, oh, I'm used to an hour and 10 minutes of suffering. All right. I guess I can have my 5 minutes back. And then my one word this episode is too much sex, ?
Oh, yeah.
I think we texted about it a little bit. I think you put it expertly, so I will quote you back to you, which is like, we haven't seen sex in so long, and then this episode was like chock full of so much sex that it was a little weird.
Yeah.
Like it was like, oh. And that's exactly how I felt, where I was kind of like, oh, another one. Okay. And then I was like, wait, what was the name of the show again? Sex and the City reboot? Oh, right, okay.
Right. I forgot we were here. I thought we were in a completely different universe until now, but okay. We're back on HBO. We're not in Hallmark today.
Not today. But coming up. No. Well, let's get into it. This is And Just Like That, Season 3, Episode 8, Happily Ever After. A ominous title for sure. I think we'll start with Carrie today. That makes the most sense. I honestly feel like she has the shortest plot of everybody.
That's wild. Okay.
Yeah. So we open on Carrie and Aiden, and she's helping Aiden carry his suitcases to the bedroom. They head up the stairs. He's got like a full caravan of like 18 different bags. And then they make the joke too, where she's like, I've only ever seen you wear the same 3 shirts.
Actually good.
Which hilarious, because it's true. And then we get, the big moment from the trailer where he's like, should I just move everything to one side? And then she like gasps as if he's killed her. And then he's like, you should take a look at your face right now. And the way I
love the accent you put on for Aiden. It's so
yeah,
funny.
because after Dunkin' Donuts last week, I'm just like, they have made him dumb.
Yeah.
They have made him unlikable.
Mm-hmm.
I hate this relationship. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's really insufferable. And I want to get into this though when we get to the scene when he gets the text. I want us to really dive in.
We'll get into it. But I literally just wrote, I hate him in my notes. Okay. So we learned that Carrie has nothing all day. Her day is fully open for Aiden, except for a 7:30 dinner with Duncan to go over her book. Dun dun. And then we flash forward to Carrie and Aiden post-sex nap, and they wake up and it's 7:20. And Carrie's like, oh, I have 10 minutes to get ready for my writing session. And he's like, how long is it going to take? An hour? And she's like, no, it can take multiple hours. It can take a lot of time. And then he makes some sort of joke or something where he's like, worth it. And again, it's like every time he's opening his mouth, I'm frustrated. And then we get the pinnacle of frustration, which is he like looks at his phone and he's like, ugh. And Carrie's like, what? And he's like, I've got nothing from Wyatt. And then we learn that Wyatt, after his wilderness week, has decided to move in with his mom, which like, congratulations, Wyatt. Congratulations. I have nothing but pride swelling for you.
I know. Marina and I are on the train where it's like we need to actually protect Demon Child Wyatt at all costs. Wyatt is being denied his medications. Remember that. So he's moving in with his mom to get the meds and Carrie needs and not paint a dumb house or farm, like warehouse, whatever he was doing, and play apples to apples. He's having some peace and quiet with his mom. So very happy for him. Godspeed to Wyatt.
Yes, my prince of darkness. I'm glad that he is like getting the proper parenting, excuse me, that he needs with Bob and that he needs with Kathy.
With Bob.
Congratulations, you made the right choice.
Yep, exactly. Even he's sick of Aiden, and I get it, man.
And I get it, man. And then Aiden like turns to Carrie and goes, and he's like, I was at home all alone. I realized I got a life in New York, and I heard horror strings.
Yeah,
I heard like I was like, no. If I was Carrie, I'd be like, run.
If you were Carrie, you would have been like, didn't I break up with this man 3 times? I do love that's like every time you see him, you're like, this is a breakup, right? And then much to your chagrin.
Also, like, I'm sorry, you abandoned me to go be a bad father. And then the second that your son, I love, by the way, he keeps being like, what did I do? What did I do that was so bad? Why do I deserve this? And I'm like, if I'm sitting Carrie, I'm like, let me take you through the list of everything you did that was bad, because you do deserve this. Yeah. Sorry. I don't mean to shame parents who, you know, are struggling with trouble kids like Wyatt. I just want to be really explicitly clear. Mm-hmm. What I'm being explicitly clear about is that Aiden is not doing it well. So every time he's like, why me? Why could this happen to me? I'm like, stop. We saw in that episode exactly why this is happening to you.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually become painfully clear.
Obvious. And then Carrie takes pity on him, in my opinion. That's my interpretation of it. Mm-hmm. And cancels on her 7:30 writing session dinner with Duncan to instead have dinner with Aiden instead.
Mm-hmm. Okay, this is the thing that I found super interesting because, so I don't listen to the Writers Room podcast, but someone did share this on the Reddit. This is CTalk2935. Shout out for you for finding it and doing the loads work. I need to give you credit because I did not do the proper research to listen to this podcast. But they did post a short clip. There's a moment in the podcast where the writers, including Michael Patrick King, talk about this scene. And I felt like this, to me, was such an aha moment and like, kind of like, yes, exactly, of a lot of things that you and I have talked about while watching this show and also have suspected is sort of going on in the writer's room. And obviously it's just a small clip about one scene, but I feel like it's really indicative of what you and I talked about with like writers having different points of view and then seeing that sort of emerge across different episodes and different interpretations. And as a viewer, you and I are experiencing lots of whiplash.
Standing across the bedroom from him, and she hears that, oh, because it was aimed at her.
Well,
I'm going to argue.
Yes, well, we had this
You know how I feel about this. Aiden is very manipulative in this scene, you know?
Yeah.
It's not like he gets a text and gets new information.
He does.
He's just like, oh, I'm so sad.
No, it's
Okay.
true.
It's
true. No, it's a fair interpretation.
I wouldn't say it's fair. I'd say it's very specific to Rachel's point of view.
Nah,
There
I
are going to
bet-
be a
yeah.
lot of people who
Rachel's
think
not going to be the only person thinking that.
No.
Yeah, I'm glad that you heard that because, again, I'm glad that I listened to the writers' podcast this time because, it was really jarring, and they spent most of the podcast talking about this one scene. Like like most of the podcast episode is about this one scene, and the fact that they break like the metaverse that they break into an argument again about the scene that they put to celluloid that we are watching.
Yeah. Yes.
It's like,
exactly.
okay, so you don't know what's happening.
Right.
Who's driving?
Yeah. Who's driving the plane? Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, thank you. That perfectly encapsulates the feelings exactly of like, wait a sec. It is a feeling of like, wait, so like 5 people are arguing in the cockpit and no one's driving the plane, right? Because it's one thing for, I think, writers to watch what someone else did in an episode and then come away with different interpretations. I think that's totally legit. But this is like very fundamental differences of what the scene and what the character is. Michael Patrick King even makes a comment where he's like, well, anything from your perspective is anti-Aiden. Which tells me that there's like, this is a conversation that's going on is like some writers are pro and anti-Aiden and they're going to write them that way, right? They're going to like write these scenes that way. And then you and I are sitting here watching it, holding on for dear life. The masks have dropped from the ceiling. We're trying to get the life out of it, being like, where are we landing? Where are we landing, guys? Where are we going? You know, that's exactly what it feels like to watch this.
Yeah, I feel like the vibe I get is like Michael Patrick King really likes open-ended scenes. And obviously, you know, like anything in media of any kind, right? Everything in moderation is great. Obviously, there have been historically some wonderful open-ended scenes in Sex and the City and here, whatever. Like, sure, you don't have to tell the audience everything. It's just really hard when every single scene we've seen about this relationship is an open-ended scene. And then I keep being like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what Carrie's thinking. And I'm supposed to know what she's thinking because we were supposed to bring the voiceover back, but then we did, and it's the woman, and I hate it. So it's like, agreed. I feel like that clip in the Survivor music video, you know, where it's like where they're on the raft, you know, Beyonce,
yes, I know exactly
and they're all on the raft. Like that's how I
bridge.
feel
Yeah.
watching this episode because watching their relationship in general. I think that's honestly why we hate it so much.
Yeah, exactly. It's like if I felt like we were going somewhere and the place that we were going is crazy and loony and or I didn't agree with it, this would be a very different viewing experience and this would be a very different podcast. But every scene is Survivor. We're in the raft, screaming to the heavens, like trying to find land because we don't know where we're going. And by the end of this, I still don't know where we're going. We're most of the season in, and it could be. It just depends on, I guess, who wins over writing the finale. You know what I mean? Like who is going to be the authority that like has the final say on that script and that story direction. That is just where we're going to land because there's no way to tell based on the scenes that we're seeing where we're going.
Well, Michael Patrick King always writes the finale.
Well,
so that will be buckle up, girlies. Okay.
Okay.
So later on, they're getting ready for the art gallery thing, which we'll get more into depth later. But Aiden shows Carrie his 2 shirts. And long story short, he tries to invite Duncan to dinner. Like, he's like, I want to meet that cat under the stairs. And Carrie's like, no. And then she's like, we don't have that kind of relationship. Our relationship is all about the writing. And he's like, so all you do is sit and say page 22 sucks. And she's like, yeah, that is all we do. And again, the writers podcast, they're like, she set a hard boundary that he violated. And I was like,
whoa.
Okay, let's all take a deep breath. I was like, what hard boundary are you talking about? Like, as I was listening to Writers Podcast, I was like, okay, she did say, let's not invite him to dinner or whatever, you know? So like, but she didn't say like, hey, you know, Duncan is really crabby and I just got him to like me. Like, please don't interact with him.
Yeah, or something. Yeah.
That's a boundary. Whereas here she's like, well, you know, he's not really that kind of friend. It's just about like my writing or whatever.
Right. Like, I think we're using the term boundary to just mean preference. Because that's how she expressed it to me, was just like, I would prefer him to not come to dinner because we're not actually that close and it'll be kind of awkward. Like, that was kind of how she presented it in the scene. It wasn't like, you know, it's not like she and Duncan had a falling out. And so she's like, please don't invite him. I don't want to be around him. You know what I mean? Like that is a sort of a capital B kind of boundary. It's like, I'm going to be really uncomfortable if he's here because like we have issues or something like that. This I got was just the story she's going with is like, we're just not that close and it'll be awkward.
Right. Exactly.
That, you know, that's a very different thing.
And then later he asks Seema and the gardener like, oh, what's that cat like? And they're like, he's a meanie. Although I'll put a pin in that. Put a big pin in that. And again, on the podcast, they're like, see, he's just violating boundaries left and right, like asking Seema like what Duncan is like or whatever. And I'm like,
what?
Okay, he's allowed to ask who the fuck this guy is.
Yeah. This is really actually kind of bizarre that they had an issue with this. Is like, at least, I mean, I'm sure I'm going to eat my words and Aiden is going to do something crazy in the next couple episodes. Like, I'm sure this is all going to escalate out of nowhere. But, like, this is totally normal, is to be like, what's the neighbor like? It's not like he's so crazy jealous he's going through her phone. You know what I mean? Just asking is such a normal thing. And he's not even asking, like, what's his relationship with Carrie like? He's asking what he's like.
What's
our neighbor like? In the house that I allegedly live in, what's our neighbor like?
And here's my two things. One, you already gave him cuckold face last episode, so why are we acting like whatever?
Cuckold face.
Second of all, again, it's like they keep ending the episode on notes, and then the next episode they just reverse it, and so it's like, again, back to the clip. And then my other thing is they show next episode that like he's having breakfast with Duncan in the garden downstairs. And they're like all chummy about it. And I was kind of sitting here being like, why didn't we put that in this episode? So it's like a lot of ramp for him to violate the boundary next episode.
Yeah, we can talk about this when we get to the other plots too, especially with like Charlotte's vertigo. But I felt like there was a lot of things here where it felt like a part one, and then there was next episode as a part two. Like it felt like we got the setup of stuff, and then there was no.
Yes, it was a lot of setup. I agree. There weren't a lot of payoffs this episode, and that's always scary because will they pay it off?
Exactly.
Like back to the life raft.
Exactly. We're back on the right life. We're back playing Survivor. God. I'm just going to have that image in my head every time I open up HBO Max.
That's how I feel. And then sort of skipping over the gallery because it's not that Carrie and Aiden really do anything there. Mm-hmm. We do cut back at the end of the episode to Carrie at home, writing about how she had found happiness, but like a red bird that appears in the garden, you want to stand still to make sure it doesn't fly away. And I'm like, let Aiden fly, bitch. Let the red bird go.
Let him fly to Virginia.
Let him fly.
God. I love, it's like, this is all she's got really, is like weather and nature metaphors. You know what I mean? Like when she's upset, she's like, the storm has descended on the city. And then when she like ends this episode happy, she's like, the sun came out through the clouds. And then
on my carpet bag. Yeah. Then random accessories.
Right. So this is the Red Robin or whatever. I don't really understand what the violation is going to be, especially because like if this is Aiden's house and he's going to presumably move back in, he is going to meet the neighbor at some point, right? Like,
what is this? I think her whole attitude around Duncan is just so weird. Bizarre. And I know they want me to think that because they're like, well, she's trying to hide that she like wants to be with him and not Aiden. I'm like, yeah, no, it's obvious. I don't know why she's like tweaking out about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
She like tweaked out on Miranda. Now she's tweaking out on Aiden in a weird way. Like,
yeah.
What are we doing? I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's like, Carrie in Sex and the City can do these things and, like, react badly to things or be really prickly or defensive about things, but it would be fine because it's like we get her voiceover, so we also feel like we're in on it. Like, we're also sort of hearing what she actually thinks. Or she has her brunch scene where she, like, confesses to at least one of the friends what she actually thinks. And, like, to your point earlier, I think is sort of spot on, where, like, I kind of don't really know what she thinks. I just know she's, like, attracted to Duncan, and I can make guesses based on, like, how I know people act sometimes is like, oh, she's snapping at people because she's embarrassed about it. You know what I mean? I'm sort of filling in the blanks myself because I don't actually get insight into this. There's no voiceover. There's no brunch with friends. There's no opportunity for her to, like, tell us what she's feeling.
Yeah, you're right. There is no brunch this episode. They only gather for the gallery, but they sort of talk around. Again, the Writers Podcast goes ham into, like, the exhibit is a metaphor for Carrie finding happiness. And they claim that scene where she reads on the wall the, like, explanation of the exhibit, they're like, it's like her voiceover on the wall. And I was like, yeah, but what the fuck am I supposed to ascertain from that?
Yeah.
What am I supposed to ascertain from that?
Yeah. And it's different when she reads a sign that says something versus telling us what she feels. You know what I mean? That just totally ignores the context of, oh, it's like her voiceover, except it's a line said by another character reading a sign. Fuck off. Again, you said you were bringing back the voiceover. Why didn't you do yourself the favor and actually bring it back? Yeah. I agree. You've convinced me, really. I'm on team voiceover now.
They need it. I'm sorry, but, like,
yeah.
No offense, Michael Patrick King, nothing but respect and reverence, but, like, he's trying to move us through stuff at weird paces and weird things, and that's okay when there's a voiceover that tells me how to feel. When there's no voiceover and I'm just, like, slamming in and out of scenes, like,
right.
And I'm supposed to be like, if Carrie reads something aloud, it's a voiceover. Like, what? Anyway, the woman was finished with this plot.
Yeah. God.
I think we should do Seema and LTW next, since they are sort of self-contained, and then I'll do Miranda and Charlotte together, since they're sort of interconnected.
Yes.
And then all the other goblins that are at the gallery.
Okay, good.
So we do have a quick scene at the top where we see that Harry is recuperating post-op from his surgery for his prostate cancer, and he's complaining about having big balls. And then LTW shows up looking like a damn clown with jumbo nuts. Get it?
Because the nuts are big. It's because
because of the balls. That's Howie coming out.
God, at least she didn't wear her necklace with the big balls on it. Can you imagine?
Oh my, that's what they should have saved that for this scene.
Because that would have been a visual gag.
Because then he would have been like,
funny.
Whoa. And then he'd been like, Charlotte, do they look like that?
Yeah.
Sad. Missed opportunity. So then Charlotte and LTW walk, and LTW says that she had a sex dream about her editor, and he, like, ripped open her bodice or whatever. And I do love Charlotte has a great line here where she's like, yeah, you know, we all have, like, fantasies, but, like, I always know it's a fantasy because sometimes I have short hair. Incredible.
Very good.
And Charlotte sort of says, well, don't you need, like, a flirty connection for your creativity? And then LTW is like, yeah, we're flirt working. And this is where I'd like to come on and say, I don't think we've ever flirked, and I hope you and I never flirt. Because that's disgusting, and that's how grooming happens. No, I'm just kidding. But you know what I mean? I was like, I was sitting there being like, okay, this is kind of a stretch, but sure.
Yeah. I think I'm a little lost here, but okay. I mean, look, you and I haven't flirted, but I think that's hilarious if we did, because also in our media empire podcast empire, it's like, which one of us has the unhealthy power dynamic over the other one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, which one of us is the millionaire with the rich husband?
And the other is the like intern or whatever. Yeah. Like,
The sexy editor. That's actually, We have to think about who's the LTW and who's the Marion in our relationship.
Right, exactly. Who's the Marianne? Yeah, I think this is a fine, I'll be fair. I think this is a fine escalation of what we've seen, because it's like starting with being like, there is a cute guy at work. I think that's normal. I think that's relatable, is to be like, I'm in a relationship. I'm in a committed relationship. I love this other person. I found another person attractive. And it is kind of weird that I'm going to have to see this person on a regular basis. That's a weird experience. I'm totally fine with that plot. And I think this is like a normal escalation to be like, sometimes there's tension, you know what I mean? And like telling your friend and be like, sometimes there's like sparks or whatever. I'm nervous about where we're going. But we'll see what happens. But that's as far as like the word flirking. I don't know if I'm following. I don't know if it's this. I don't know if this is this normal an experience. But okay.
I think they're trying to make fetch happen a little bit. But yeah, of course, this is a relatable experience. But I'm scared. So then. Yeah. LTW is in bed with Chris Jackson in the morning, and long story short, she tries to put the moves on him, but then he has to pee. And that is the Steve Miranda death knell, which is, if you reject me when I try to spontaneously have sex with you, it is divorce town. It is divorce town. And both men's like, Steve's like, let me wash my hands. They have like fucking avocado all over them. And then Chris, like, to his defense, like, you can't really have sex when you have to pee, like you gotta like release one of the demons, you know what I mean? So like, just like, I mean, then they tack on the classic Michael Patrick King, which is like, let's make it worse. And they tack on the whole thing that's like, can you get the seltzer for the daughter? And like, whatever, he sort of adds on chores and stuff. Dun dun.
Yeah, he does the whole sort of like, can you pick up this for the kids, whatever, while you like hear him urinating in the bathroom or whatever.
Dun.
It's very color in by numbers illustration of like the woman who's trapped in a loveless marriage scene, but it's like, this isn't a loveless marriage. She just wanted to put the moves on this morning, and he didn't want to, and he had to go pee. Like, you know what I mean? But this is the very kind of like down to the book. Woman tries to make a move. The man doesn't want to. Then she has to take care of kids. Oh, woe is me. She's so sexless and trapped in this marriage, But I'm like, Chris Jackson is a fine man.
Trapped where? Trapped where? Trapped where? I'm like, again, I mean, and she says it with Charlotte, where she's like, I have a beautiful sexual life with my husband or whatever. And yeah, I agree. I don't know why this is here. And I'm scared.
And I'm frightened. I'm very frightened.
Especially because then next scene, we cut to Marion full cunnilingus-ing a papaya.
Oh my God. Marina,
which like,
what is this?
We have to take a step back and ask, who the fuck is just eating a papaya for lunch? And it's like, I listen to the Writers Podcast. I get it. Michael Patrick King is like, we have to go for the joke. It's the funny joke, blah, 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 blah. But like, at least be like, I loved that burger and I'm trying to eat more fruit. Not like, I don't want a salad. I'm just going to eat a whole ass papaya for lunch. I'm like, that is not enough nutrients for how built you are, sir. Are you sprinkling protein powder on that? Because
yeah, are you eating okay? This kid
is
not
hungry.
Meal. Yeah. Jesus Christ. It's like, it's not even chopped or anything. It's just chopped it in half and he's spooning it out with a spoon off the desk. I'm like, goodness gracious.
Apparently they had to like buy 9 papayas to like find the one that was like at the right ripeness.
Oh dear.
And I was listening to this and I was like, Hollywood is crazy. Like, you know what I mean? I was like,
yeah.
Anyway.
God.
And he invites her to a screening and she's like really resisting because basically she thinks that he's asking her on a date. He's like, do you want some papaya? She's like, no, I don't want to try anything different. He's like, okay. And then he's like, I think you should come to this screening because the person, one of the executives at the Obama production company will be there and that might be our in to Michelle. Which, valid.
This is a work. Yeah, sure. Go for it.
And then LTW comes home and she's like, I have a work thing. I have a work thing. I have a work thing that she says 10,000 times to cover up the fact that she has just got the hots for this man. I love how at the end of the scene, she's like, I'm not even going to change. That's how much I don't care about looking good. I'm like, you're wearing a full designer outfit, but.
This is finally, I feel like, a tongue-in-cheek joke that actually worked, and I believed it was tongue-in-cheek versus other jokes where we're desperately trying to pretend it's tongue-in-cheek because it's the only way it makes sense.
Yeah. But we do learn she won't be at Charlotte's opening. We get another whole thing about this pink seltzer. And she's off. And then we cut to her at the theater with Marion, and his knee touches her knee, and she's like, I'm out. I gotta go.
She immediately freaks out.
She's like, bye. I do think a lot of her facial work throughout this episode is really great.
Mm-hmm.
Like her trying to sort of like push down her feelings and like trying to be like, cool. And then like immediately snapping, but it's all like in her eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I thought was really good. Again, a good moment for her to shine that isn't just like being pantsed in front of us. Congrats, Nicole Ari Parker. I'm happy for you.
Justice for Nicole.
Justice for Nicole. And then LTW calls Charlotte from the grocery store where she's getting the pink seltzer. And she's basically like, I'm freaking out, whatever. Like he's on to me and like I'm sweating. And Charlotte is like, calm down. And then Marion calls and puts her on the phone with the Obama rep, which has got to be awkward.
Yeah, this is very strange. I mean, and also I guess you need the hijinks of the face. We could have skipped the knee scene because usually with a screening like this, you do the cocktails and mingling before the movie. So like this mingling afterward, like we could have just skipped that scene and just gone straight to this, or they were mingling and having cocktails, and then maybe because she was like a little tipsy, she says something embarrassing and needs to like get the fuck out of there, something. But somehow we end up on the situation where this connection to the Obamas is on the phone at this cocktail event talking to LTW in the grocery store. And I think it goes okay, but yeah, it is like an awkward way to make a connection.
Yeah, I feel like maybe, I don't know what is the sequence of the order here where like they should have done the knee bump and she should have stayed. And then, but like, yeah, to your points, like maybe just cut out the knee bump altogether and go right to the cocktails and her and Marion. And then something happens for which it seems really close. He like touches her elbow or something. And then she's like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
And then he calls and he's like, you left really abruptly and it was a little weird, but they like you. Like, I feel like that's how this should have ended.
Exactly.
But whatever. We're closer to that Michelle Obama cameo.
Oh,
okay.
Marina. The groan I'm going to let out if this actually happens. Somebody save her.
I pray.
God.
Well, to get to Seema's plot, we open on her with the gardener having deep, deep sex. She orgasms in a way that sounds painful.
Yeah.
It's not meant to. It is supposed to be her like fully coming or whatever, but it's like, I'm like, all right, let's.
And that is not the first time on the show where they have been like orgasm equals like painful yop.
Painful yop. That's exactly how I would describe it. Dear God. And then they laugh after, and she admits that she's never laughed after sex, and it's all to show how comfortable they are until they decide she needs a new boyfriend next season. Who said that? And then we get introduced to the fact that he loves a good armpit play. He like puts his full face in her armpit. Which at first, when I saw it, I was like, that's a little weird, but hey, to each his own. And then when it became a major plot point of the episode, I was like, oh, God.
I know. At this point, honestly, we should know better. Like, we should see that and be like, that's going to be the thing. And yet, it surprises us every time.
Every time. So then we cut to Seema and the gardener, and they're at dinner before the art gallery exhibit. And they see a woman putting on deodorant in the restaurant, and they like, I think that it's so painful for me. The way they react is so delightful.
Yeah.
The way that they sort of like giggle, like, oh my God, did you just see that? Which is like so New York relatable, right? Like, it's like one time I saw two rats fight to the death. I literally turned to my boyfriend and I was like, did you just see that? Like, that's like such a, And the way they laugh is like,
yeah. And
so
they're like,
cozy,
now I've seen
comfy.
everything.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, but a woman putting on deodorant is like really not that bad.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I was like, I mean, I'm not going to put on deodorant that like in public that shamelessly, whatever. I'm probably going to go to the bathroom and do it. But like, if I saw that, I honestly would not bat an eye. Like that's just whatever.
He says like, oh, one time I saw a man clipping his toenails on the subway. I'm like, that's worse.
Gross. Yeah,
that's nasty.
This is not even in the same realm. And it just makes them look a little bit insane. It makes them look like they just like maybe are a little high. Because the way that they're giggling about this, I'm like, I actually don't think this is that crazy. What you said, rats fighting to the death, crazy. Toenails on the subway, crazy. This is a woman who needs to just top up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So again, it's like them shoehorning this deodorant plot. And it's like, why? On the Writers Podcast, it was so funny. They were like, all of us are in long-term relationships. So we had to like really go back in like the mind and pull out the flashcard of like things that would tip us off or whatever. And it was like, and deodorant was the best thing you came up with in this cursed city where literally everything happens.
Things that would tip us off, as in things that would like make us
You'd be
laugh.
like, ooh, I don't know. No, like, ooh, I don't know if I can date this person. Like those kind of those small things that we all have that are like, I can't date somebody who, I can't date people who like chew gum a lot,
Right.
As I've talked
we
about,
talked about your phobia. Yeah.
Yes. So like, you know what I mean? Like it's that kind of thing, which is like, oh, deodorant is like annoying to me or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. This man, again, they have tried to squeeze him of charisma and he comes back every episode. I feel like he, out of anybody in this show, this what you say guy, I'm sorry I didn't learn his name, and honestly I should because I have so much respect for him. I feel like he, out of everybody on this show, like knows what shit show he's on.
Yeah.
Like,
I think
he's
that's
like,
true.
I'm just going to make crazy choices and be
that's true.
hella charismatic and like fully laugh, fully cry, fully come. Like the way he's like, come on, baby. Yeah. It's like, this is so dumb. And I was like, no, but you know what?
I
but
think
he knows what show he's on.
Yeah, exactly.
He knows what show he's on.
That's I really love this read, is that like he's the one person in the cast and crew and executive producers who watches the show after it airs and he's like, okay, I know what we're working with. All right.
Yeah.
I'll give you something crazy. Here's my curveball. You know what I mean? I like this interpretation. I'm on board on what you say.
I feel like what you say. I feel like he like looked at Sex and the City too and was like, I'm basically a boyfriend of the week extended over 4 episodes, so more crazy for me. You know what I mean? Like,
I'll be my own version of crazy because like that's what I am. All right, here I am. So
I love him.
Respect
I
that.
love him.
I respect that.
I'm glad they didn't give him to Carrie because she would have ruined it.
Oh dear.
But anyway, they get into this back and forth about deodorant. He doesn't wear deodorant. Seema's like, why? He's like, it's not natural. He's like, also, when I was sniffing in your armpit, I didn't like the smell. And then she has this joke that's like almost a joke, but not quite. She's like, I love deodorant so much or whatever. She's like, I have a travel size and I'm not traveling. Like, I feel like we just needed I'm not even traveling. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, exactly. Also, can I just say how
weird.
confusing this conversation is? Again, going back to our point about how like nothing is making sense. In the last episode, he was like, I dumped my girlfriend when I first smelled your perfume. You know what I mean? It's like he's not anti.
Oh, get them. Yes.
You know, like, but suddenly
he's not a
like,
hippie.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But now he's like, oh, I'm a crystal person. I'm woo woo. I don't like the like zirconia, whatever. But I'm like into your perfume.
That's
confused.
alcohol or whatever. Yeah, jail. Congratulations. Yeah, you called him out. Get him.
Calling them out. I'm going to call them out a second time, even within just this scene. We just made fun of this poor woman for putting deodorant on in public. Seema, you have a travel-sized deodorant in your purse. What is weird about this?
Right. I see you.
I see you.
I see you.
I see you in 4K.
And then the conversation takes yet another pivot where we learn that his last name is Karma because his mother wanted him to, quote, remember what's important.
The way your face scrunched up when you read that off your notebook.
Yeah, because like, what? Karma is important? Isn't karma bad? Karma is a god? I don't know. Like, I just was like,
What
And then
is
I guess she
that?
can't date him because his last name is Karma and she's Indian, question mark?
Yeah,
Is
it's
that
like
the
an Indian
implication,
joke.
question
Yeah,
mark?
I think she like she was like, well, as an Indian woman, I can't date someone whose last name is Karma.
The fact that I can't
which
even
I
like
don't even
understand the
understand.
joke. I can't even get the joke.
Yeah. That joke, because that joke could also work just as effectively if you flipped it around and you're like, oh, well, as an Indian, how my parents are going to be delighted that I'm actually dating someone whose name is Karma. Oh, my parents are going to be really upset when they find out I'm dating someone named Karma. The joke doesn't work either way. You know what I mean? It's like, why do Indians not like people named Karma? I don't understand the leap that she's making. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I don't get it.
We've just made a connection where the writer is like, Indians have something to do with karma. So I'll make a reference here to her being Indian, but like doesn't understand.
I feel like he needed to pull out like a little Vishnu statue. Like I needed to be like 8
full
more
white
degrees.
guy Buddhist.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like something.
Like he pulls out a Buddha, or he has like a, he's got the beads. Like there's just something kind of stereotypical white guy live, laugh, love Buddha about him.
Yes.
And then that off-puts her, and she's just sort of like, oh, I wonder how my parents will feel when they find out XYZ thing about you and then they see that you're white or something like that. You know what I mean? Like let's do something like that.
You literally gave me this note one time, like in my life, which is like I was trying to write this joke and you were like, oh, but the joke is about you and you've like inserted this teacher and it has complicated the joke. And that's how I feel here. It's like, because we've inserted that the mom changed his last name to Karma. It's like a joke about his mom and not a joke about him. Cause he's just like, oh, whatever. My last name's Karma, I guess. Like, it's like, I feel like he should have been like,
Yes.
yeah, I changed it because, I've been burned too many times and like, I need to keep a positive outlook.
Nice. Yes. Oh my gosh.
And that would be more in his unhinged energy. Go
Yes.
off. What you say, actor. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Yes. Your script doctoring is on fire this episode. Can I say?
I'm killing it.
You're cooking. She's in the kitchen.
I'm cooking. And then this whole bit sort of culminates with Seema and the gardener. And they're like asking Aiden about deodorant. And then I realized this whole deodorant, this is the second time Aiden has been questioned about deodorant. And I didn't realize that it is a callback to an episode where you haven't seen it yet, but just the short version of it is like Aiden and Carrie sort of move in together and she bitches about his stuff. And one of the things she bitches about is she's like, why do you have like 3 half empty like speed sticks? Like, what are you doing with all these like half empty speed sticks in the apartment? Because he's just like collecting empty. He's like, he doesn't throw his deodorant out when he's done kind of thing. He just like hoards on to like, that's like his like weird thing.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And so there's the episode where Carrie's at the farm at the beginning. Remember, she doesn't have deodorant. And he's like, I got a speed stick for you. And people noticed it was a reference. And I was like, oh, okay. And then we got to this scene and he was like, me, I'm all about speed stick. And I was like, oh my God, you're going to make the same reference twice in one fucking season? Like, I got it. Aiden and speed sticks, Dunkin' Donuts. Like, you're driving me crazy. I don't care about this man and he's unoriginal. It's like so made me so angry. And then he was like, how's that cat Duncan? And I was like, I'm done with all 3 of you.
I'm gonna make freaking lose it.
I literally was like, I can't. When he was like, I got speed stick, I was like, again? God, this man's personality is just woodworking and speed sticks.
My God. Now that I know that this is a thing that dates back, I totally forgot about the Virginia thing. And this is from the show, like, as if fans of the old show are gonna watch this and get excited and smile of, haha, yeah, at him being like the speed stick deodorant. As if.
My thing is like twice. Dear God. Anyway, that's done. Rest in peace, Rita.
We're done. But do you see also it's like what we were saying earlier about the like it feels like a part 1 and not a part 2. The deodorant bit doesn't go anywhere. Like we don't get the final scene of it. I feel like it's missing and is going to come in the next episode. And this is the first time in this goddamn show where they've ever pulled something from one episode to another. I feel like this episode got chopped in half.
Yeah, I
agree.
agree.
They do get paid per episode. I'm onto this. I'm onto your game. I'm going to do the investigative podcast about how this happened.
Yeah, I agree. Because where's our, like, cabs are sexy cherry at the end where she's like,
yes.
I don't, like, you know, he's like smelling it or whatever. And she's like, I don't know. And he's like, it's you. And that's all I care about. You know, that's what I'm looking for. You know, that's what I want.
Yeah. Yeah. We need the delivery guy in the background dropping something off of the gallery.
I've ever seen. Oh, God. Ooh. You know how people in Times Square do like improv Seinfeld?
Yeah.
Yeah, you and I are going to launch improv and just like that. No one's going to come, but it's going to be so funny. We're going to close after 2 nights, but it'll be hilarious.
We're going to have such a good time. We're going to go out with a bang. And we're going to start with a bang. It'll be a short journey that's just a bang.
All right. Well, as I mentioned, Harry is post-op and Charlotte is helping LTW cope with her crisis. But then we finally cut to her at the gallery. I just want to say up top here, this whole scene of her with the gallerinas and like, where do we put the condom? It has to be 2 inches away. I was like, God, I want this spinoff so bad. I love these 3 gallerinas. They're growing on me.
Yeah, me too.
I feel like they really fleshed them out this season in a way that's like nice and relatable and fun. Yeah. Like the whole scene where they like go and party till like 6 a.m. or whatever it is, like fun. This is fun. Like I just was sitting there being like, God, this is what I want to watch. Like people at work. You know, like
yeah,
and not in the Miranda way where it's like, what are you 2 young kids talking about? It's like, get out of here. You know what I mean? It's like, this is like, I thought this was like fun.
Yeah, it is interesting. It's like, 'cause it's like they don't have to do that much. I think the reason that we even like it so much is because they're not insufferable in the way that young people are. They're just there. They're just normal people who are like,
this work is crazy. Yeah,
and being like, this is a crazy thing we're doing. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, we open on the shot of them putting lotion into a condom. Love it. There's a whole back and forth about how like, did people ejaculate more in the 80s? And I'm like, sure. Charlotte brings up the 80s like 3 times in this episode. And I'm like, okay, but the original show was in the 90s. I feel like you should have just said the 90s, but
yeah,
whatever. We see the like messy bed. She also has this great line where she's like, you know, this was pre-Lena Dunham. When women weren't allowed to be messy. And I was like, okay.
We're really leaning on the fourth wall here.
Really leaning on it. But then we see she gets a vertigo attack and they have this whole running bit that's like, young people don't know what vertigo is. I'm like, I definitely have vertigo, but sure.
You're like, that's news to me, said Marina on the floor.
Said Marina crawling on the floor. Then we got to Miranda and Joy has come back from a trip and she's brought this special kind of gin that she's leaving at Miranda's house. She's never left gin at a girlfriend's house. And Miranda is trying to be Demi Moore cool girl where she's like, yeah, I totally can have the gin in my house.
This is sad. I mean, this is also sort of pitiful because like just a couple episodes ago, Miranda is choosing her house based on the potential that this girl will move in with her. And we're still doing this, right? We're still doing cruel girl. I'm going to pretend I'm not an alcoholic. Whereas like what? Smith Jarrett brought it up on like date 2.
Yeah. And we just sort of dealt
sad.
with it.
Come on,
sad.
Miranda.
Come on, girl. I know you had sex with a nun at the beginning of the season, but like, look up.
Oh no. Rosie.
So then we cut to the gallery opening, and as I said, they read the whole thing about happiness. And then Charlotte goes on this whole tirade with Miranda and Carrie where she's like, look at the differences in happiness. You know, there's the older woman who's on an iPad in bed, and then the young woman like we used to be who's like, you know, face down with the condom. I think this is a good time for you to bring up your rant about the gallery.
Yes, okay. So this was a thing that I Googled because way back when I like learned to Maria Abramovich did like a lot of performance art, whatever, that I think is like sort of loosely parodied a lot, like the sitting one or whatever. That came up when we were doing a piece about in Vox about whoops. They came up when we were doing a piece at work once about like emotions. And a producer like showed me a bunch of these and was like, this is a weird, these are weird things that like are very sort of modern art that for some reason like makes me feel emotions and other art doesn't, whatever. We had this whole discussion and she showed me this thing and it like dawned on me when I was watching this. I was like, wasn't that one of the things? I went down this Wikipedia rabbit hole and like there is a piece that they're parroting here, which is called My Bed by Tracy Amin, if I'm pronouncing that correct, from the 90s. And it is like very literally this. It's like a messy bed with condoms in it and period stained clothes and like wrappers for clothes or food. And it is very sort of like this is what a woman's bed actually looks like, instead of the pretty version we show to the dates that we bring home, the pretty version we see in movies. Like this is what an actual like single woman's bed like looks like, who is like tired and depressed or whatever. And it was like very controversial. It launches this person's career basically. But this was like the late 90s, which I think is like super interesting because it's like coming out at the time when like Sex and the City is like starting or like hitting its peak or whatever, right? Like this is the same kind of cultural moment, which I think is fascinating in this very like, sort of like new millennia feminism, of this kind of women can be messy and have sex lives and like have these sorts of things that Sex and the City is sort of known for and credited with a lot. And then you have something like this, which is really extreme in the like high art, modern art gallery world, but it's the same kind of message, there's something related there. And I think it was like interesting to then choose to put it in this show and then kind of make fun of it. Like you have the character standing around being like this weird piece of art, which like, again, look, I'm a person who, if I go to like the Whitney, I see modern or whatever, I get snarky. I'm not really into that. Sure. I'm not going to go out and tell people that it's snarky, but when we go home, later and we're like, so what'd you think? I'm going to be like, wasn't for me. Like, I get it. I get going to this gallery. Maybe it's not their favorite thing, but I do think it's actually kind of weird to like have the characters stand around being like, how disgusting and weird this is, given the like show that this spinoff actually came from. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's something sort of missing in the irony of it that I feel like, I don't know if they're aware of it. I don't sort of give them credit. I feel like they're sort of missing the irony here of like, your show was sort of criticized for very similar things and then lauded for very similar things of being very like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. My thing with it is like, so first of all, I was Googling what you were talking about. Everybody should Google it. It's great. And it bothers me that they keep saying the 80s, the 80s, the 80s when it's the 90s. They should have just said the 90s because that would have been more apropos of the fact that they are calling back directly to the original show. So complaint number one. Complaint number two, it's like, I don't think necessarily in this moment when like Charlotte's talking about the bed, it's necessarily in disgust. I think that there's something more sinister here, which is like, they're like, oh, well, it's so much better to be that woman with the cleaning lady and the iPad than to be this mess. And it's like, but the show, what we liked about Sex and the City is that it allowed women to see representation of the mess. Yeah. Like, I think, and correct me if I'm like rephrasing what you were saying, right? But like, that's what I feel was more sinister here is they were just kind of like, oh, ew, like, look at how much we've left behind. And it's like, yeah, like, look at how much you've left behind. Look at how much like sort of washing we're at now where it's like, oh, we're all just going to be this clean woman in her rich person bed, as opposed to like this woman who is having fun, eating wrappers and having sex, unlike any of you.
Yes. Yeah.
Unlike any of you.
Yes, I completely agree. It is very, this is better than that. We were sort of crazy then, but like, we're going to look down on that. And then like, this is actually what real happiness is being rich and clean, and just like older and calmer, which is like not really what the show even is, but it's like kind of, it is an interesting of like like singleness and, just being a young woman. I think you're right, is seen as like dirty and scummy almost a little bit.
And like mess. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, think about season 6 of Sex and the City. Like that wasn't dirty and scummy. And like,
Yeah.
she was dating Petrovsky. Like, I don't know, like
Yeah.
I agree that there was something in the delivery of what they were trying to say here that didn't quite deliver. Also because, again, they just like sort of skim stones through this episode.
Yeah. Yeah. Also really well said. Really well said.
But Miranda brings up Joy and she talks about how like, maybe I can drink again. Like she sort of says like, I was an alcoholic and all these other things were happening to me. And maybe the alcoholism was a symptom of all these other things happening, but like now I'm doing great. So like maybe I can become an alcohol-ish person. And Carrie and Charlotte are rightly skeptical. And she does say something interesting, which is like, why do I have to be defined by my darkest chapter? Which again, generally I'm happy. I'm happy we're actually exploring this issue. It's funny on the Writers Podcast, they go on a whole thing where they're like, well, we didn't want to just throw the alcoholism away. And I was like, well, that is what you did, though.
Yeah, it's
that is what you did. So you can't gaslight me into the fact that that was your plan until now. But sure. Yeah. Okay. I don't have too many complaints against this plot because I think it's handled well.
Yeah, I actually think like this is sort of a realistic thing, is to be like, was I alcoholic or was it a period of my life? But she doesn't really have another voice I trust for her to like bounce off of this, right? Like Carrie has Miranda to look at the pages of the script and be like, are you unhappy with Aiden? You seem much happier with Duncan. Like Carrie has Miranda. Miranda, I don't think really has anyone to kind of work her through this. Like, I don't think Joy is going to be that person. Steve is no longer in the picture. And we know Carrie and Charlotte and co are not going to talk about that weird nuance with her. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
they just let stuff slide anyway. So it's like, I agree. I think like Charlotte sort of tries in her way.
Right.
But doesn't really verbalize it in this scene.
Right. I think Charlotte is, in a way that I actually find kind of sweet. Charlotte is like, no, we have to protect Miranda. And I sort of appreciated that only because they totally ignored it for the first two seasons. So it was nice to see someone take the alcoholism seriously and be like, no, don't have a sip. But it is like sort of goofy and offhand and whatever. Like I do want Miranda to have this question with somebody who can give her a response of like, I see what you're feeling and here's how we should deal with it. You know what I mean? I want, if Samantha was here, her Smith Jared to like have a one-off conversation about it. Someone who like, you know what I mean? Because it is an interesting question and plot, but.
I will say that's the other thing from the Writers Podcast, which is they were like, well, when she was an alcoholic at first, we just didn't want to show a bunch of AA meetings. And I was like, okay, I feel like we could have explored this better in a different way, but whatever. I will say, it does give Charlotte vertigo. So I guess that's her reaction.
It's to immediately lose balance.
So we have a quick scene here where Victor Garber, is back and he's talking to Patty Lapone and Giuseppe. And Patty asks for any of the queer masters, Basquiat, Herring, because basically she's trying to like buy Giuseppe out of Anthony's house. She's like, we'll buy you a bigger house. We'll put art in it. And Giuseppe is like, in Italian, he's like, enough, Mom. I love him. And then Victor Garber's like, all I heard is I love him. And I've got large scale, I've got medium scale. I thought that was funny.
Yep.
And then right at that moment, Anthony comes up and he's like, well, that brings the total number of naked women I've seen in bed to 1. And I'm like, yes, my king prince. Like nobody can shut this man down.
Yeah.
And of course, Patty Lapone just sort of trots off because she's sickened and gross by Anthony being so small and old. And then, but despite her own marriage, all right, maybe you should use her Freudian therapy to look at that. And then Anthony and Giuseppe kind of get the idea that Anthony will cook for her one-on-one in an attempt to repair this relationship. Good luck with that. Okay.
Yeah, I think Giuseppe decided to make it one-on-one because he's like, well, we're in a sitcom, Anthony, and you have to do it one-on-one rather than a normal thing, which would be all 3 of us to have dinner. But okay.
Okay. Well, we'll see you next episode. And
God,
a lot of that. then Joy and Miranda and Carrie and Aiden are again now they're making fun of the woman in the bed. Joy's like, I wonder what she's thinking. Beat Starbucks. I'm like, all right. And then Joy sort of hands off her drink to Miranda to hold, and Miranda's just sort of sniffing it, and Charlotte sees her sniffing it from across the room, and she's like, no, Miranda, and gets a vertigo attack and falls face plant on the bed. I will say when the model on the bed goes, what the fuck? It makes me laugh. It made me laugh. And the last thing I want to point out with Charlotte is that when LTW calls, it like when we see Charlotte responding, she's like walking into her apartment with full vertigo, like bent over. And I get it. It's, comedy or whatever. But I'm like, did they make this bitch walk all the way home with fucking vertigo?
I thought that too. I was like, nobody took her home. I mean, like Miranda didn't walk her home. Carrie didn't take her home with Aiden. No one had it out for poor Charlotte, man. LTW, who is her actual only friend here, didn't even come because she's got to go to this other thing. Like, no one's looking out for her. Okay, well. And it's so sad that in this scene, she's hunched over, can barely walk, and is still helping another friend.
Yeah, no, I truly was like, Jesus Christ.
This is so brutal.
No one?
They put her in a cab like that.
Sad. Check on your friends, guys. Make sure your friends are your friends. Let me just say that. That's my PSA for this episode. Make sure your friends are your friends.
Pretend to have vertigo. Test them. This is a sign of friendship, is testing them.
Yeah, the new would you love me if I was a worm is would you ride the cab with me home if I got a full vertigo attack or not? That's what that is. And then we sort of land on this long comedy bit with Miranda at home with the gin. I'll just go through it. But basically, she goes up to get a snack and she opens the cabinet and she sees the gin. It's like calling her name. And at this point, my favorite part about this whole scene is the eating Foley is so loud and so insane. Like they've dubbed back in ADR, somebody going like, as she eats the cookie, like it doesn't even sync properly with her mouth. Yeah. And it's like, y'all are in like Michael Patrick King being like, we have to make the awkward silence obvious. I'm like, all right. Okay, she's not an animal.
Eating like a horse chews, like
yeah, literally. I was like, and her mouth isn't even moving like that. Anyway. Yeah. So then she like opens the gin and then she smells it and she like has such a great way of like pouring a little bit. And then she like gets it really close. She like almost drinks it. And then she like dumps it in the sink, puts the gin in the cabinet, like goes back to her desk, like starts working. A couple moments pass, gets right back up, grabs the whole drink, goes outside, throws it in the trash. What's it called? Chute. And we hear it, completely crash open at the bottom. And then she's like able to be in peace. I mean, I thought Cynthia Nixon really delivered here. I thought this was like really well played. I thought her facial expressions were very sort of vintage Miranda. Like some of those facial expressions she's definitely made in the original show. Like, I don't know. I just felt like, yeah, this feels right. Yeah. And it doesn't feel like we're making fun of alcoholism because like, for example, I'm not an alcoholic, but I've done this with cake. I've done this where I'm like, I'll just have one little spoon, and then I've got 2 little spoons, and then I'm like, nope, I got to throw this whole thing away. You know what I mean? Like, like I've been there with that, and so I loved it.
Yeah, I thought this was great. This is like the kind of scene that I wish we got to see when she decided to go sober. But so even though we're very late to the game, we're a season and a half late, I am happy to see it. I think it was well done. Cynthia Nixon is great. Good directing. I love a scene. It's so funny. Whenever they stop talking, we're like, that scene is so good.
Yeah. Whenever there's no dialogue, we're like, yes, go off.
Yes.
I'm like, I even love the bye bingo raging in the background.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good, like, the hum of ambient noise that's happening.
Love it.
Good.
Well, and that's the episode.
And and then what?
So it was like over. I literally, most of the times I take 4 pages of notes. I have 3 pages of notes.
Yeah.
It was like zoom in.
Something happened. This got chopped into 2.
Yeah. And that means I'm scared. Okay. Well, we end our podcast as we end all our podcasts with our high and our low, our rose and our thorn. Emily, let's start with the negative. What was your diarrhea of this episode?
My negative of this episode is Aiden going, "Home. Wyatt didn't text me." Like that sigh that he lets out is woof.
Yeah, I think my big negative is the fact that this bed is a parody of something and they butchered the parody and also should have put it in the 90s. Like, there's just like technical things here that are missing. And also that it's supposed to be a metaphor for Carrie. Yeah, okay. Good luck.
Yikes. Yeah.
Yikes. What was your release the Kraken of this episode?
I mean, it's got to be the Cynthia Nixon little scene and performance there at the end. I just thought it was so lovely and real and good.
For me, it's Wyatt living with his mom. Congratulations. You did it. Congrats. You solved the problem. I hope you get into a great college or trade school. No judgment. And live out the rest of your life in peace.
Yeah.
Never woodworking ever again.
No.
I hope you switch all day long. I'll see you in Breath of the Wild, my man.
He just becomes like an award-winning Breath of the Wild speedrunner and has the time of his life. He's just like...
That's what he should be doing.
Yeah.
That's what he should be doing. Monetize this.
Yeah.
God.
Good boy, Wyatt. Go be free.
Well, we have 4 episodes left.
Wow.
Almost there.
Wow.
And just like that, we're almost there.
Jesus.
If you're bored in the meantime, you can listen to all our podcasts, other podcast episodes. You can like, you can subscribe, you can favorite, you can do literally anything you want, except a thumbs down. At that point, you should just keep it to yourself. And then if that's not even enough for you, you want more content, you can go to our YouTube at Sister Pigs and watch us play as these 4 girls in the video game Baldur's Gate, which honestly, I'm like, next time we play, I'm looking for who's Wyatt. Absolutely, for sure.
Good call.
He's got to be in this game because, again, he
wait,
is the
I have
gift
an
that keeps
idea,
giving.
actually. Oh
Who?
my God.
Say it.
The kid in Act 2 that is like making everything evil and they have to save him. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
He's like the nature kid.
Yes, him.
Wyatt.
We'll find him. Everybody who has not played the video game is like, who? And it doesn't matter. You know what matters? That we are guided by the light of Wyatt Anakin Shaw. Yeah, Emily did give him the middle name Anakin, and we are sticking to it. Wyatt Anakin Shaw. Pour one out for him. Pour one out for us, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Bye.